We are the Unbounded. The streets of Shatter Bay are ours. We are shattered glass and fractured concrete. Metal grinding metal. We are lawless.
Alright, so it's an early Saturday morning here in Kista, outside of Stockholm, and we've caught up with Joonas once again to ask him a little bit more about Ridge Racer Unbounded, which is coming together, I hope.
Yes, and it's also coming out in Europe on the 2nd of March next year, as we announced, I think it was 2 days ago.
Good timing. So you've given us a little bit of a preview of the city creator, which I think is one of the key features of the game that will keep fans occupied for months and hopefully years after release. Could you tell us a little bit about what went into the decision into adding that to the game?
Yeah, well, the city creator is, at least for us, pretty much the key thing about the game. Like, well, it wasn't initially, but once we started working on it, we realized like how much fun it could be. And the reasoning behind it was that basically we were already building the game world out of these like blocks, and we just at some point realized that if we make the blocks uniform and we find some way to actually make them like fit together like pretty much in any combination, which we finally managed to do, although it was very difficult, we realized that we could actually release like an editor that the consumers could also use to put together the same kinds of tracks that we are doing in the studio.
But of course, that comes at a cost. You can't just let people do whatever they want. Could you tell us a little bit about the restrictions and sort of why you wanted to, why you need to have these restrictions on the player as they create levels?
Yeah, the whole idea about the city creator was that we wanted to make an editor that absolutely anybody could learn to use and didn't actually have to do like any sort of like learning period or anything, so that they should be able to just jump in and create a level in like under 1 minute flat. And that basically dictated everything that we wanted to do. So that resulted in the idea that we want like every single block to fit together with every other block, like except if they're like radically different in height. That may be a problem. Like you can't place a tunnel next to an elevated highway, but pretty much everything else goes. And that did place some restrictions on how we need to like design the main route, like how wide it has to be, so that you can like exit any block into any other block. But that was mostly just like level design, like groundwork that we had to do. But like I don't think it really like imposed any other like restrictions on us. And as far as the players go, I think it's more empowering them because they don't have to think about the restrictions. Like because everything goes together, you can just have fun with it and see what you can make.
It's funny because when you created a level that we got to see, it just, you know, when you look at it, there's no way of telling that this was just created a minute ago by someone. You know, it could have been anyone because everything is sort of melds together. Is there like a transition area between each of the blocks, or is it just the way the blocks are constructed? Or
there is no transition area or any code magic happening. Our art guys are basically just so good that they managed to make it so that they fit together quite nicely. Like personally, I can't tell where one block ends and another one begins unless I know what to look for, and the players will not know because they don't know how the blocks are actually.
I think they're focusing on the crashing cars and stuff as well.
I would hope so, yeah.
So, you know, if you just hear this, you might have the wrong impression of it that, oh, this game is going to look uniform and boring. But can you just tell us a little bit about the amount of detail and sort of variation that has gone into creating all these blocks and sort of the level of amount of blocks that you can play around with?
So we're going to have over 100 blocks. The final number is still not decided, but we feel that over 100 should be enough. And we initially thought to put the game together with just I think it was 85 originally, but we just decided to increase the amount to give the players like a little bit more variety than what we strictly need for the game. And again, the game world came first, and then we thought of the whole block system and so forth. So I don't like really think that the block system has like forced us to like do anything like more uniform. I think that actually on the other hand, it has helped us to like make a more like cohesive game world, because we had to make sure that everything does fit together. And Yeah, I think it's actually going to give people lots of opportunities to create something like very high quality looking that can be often hard to achieve with like this very like detailed editors. So like sort of like removing that layer from the players, I think it's going to help them like create something very cool.
And you talked about the cohesive city. What kind of city is it that you're racing in?
Shatter Bay, our setting, which you get to like take apart and remake in your own image, is a fictional city on the US East Coast. It's been modeled after New York and Chicago, and it includes like all sorts of urban areas. So there's like parts that are under construction, there's like old like red brick 2-story areas, residential areas, shipping areas, parks and so forth. So as long as it's urban, it's probably going to feature in the game.
And apart from that as well, the sort of are different blocks more prone to sort of destructive and shortcuts, or is it present in all kinds of blocks, or how do you go about that?
There are some differences. Like we have like different areas of the city that are represented in the block sets, and in addition to the way that they look different from each other, they do play differently. So like some areas have like more like collateral destruction going on than some other areas. Some areas are easier to race in and some are more difficult to race in. So like wider streets, narrower streets, and how much like jumps are there, how much verticality is there built into the blocks. And in terms of shortcuts, all areas have a roughly same number of like these blocks with built-in shortcuts that you can use in your tracks, or choose not to use if you want a more clean racing experience. But we like the shortcuts ourselves because they add like this tactical level to the gameplay, where you need to decide whether you want to like use your accumulated power to destroy other cars or open up these shortcuts.
And then I guess you naturally want to take your track online, play with your friends. All that's in there as well?
Yes, that was actually another requirement that we imposed on ourselves, that if we want to do an editor of sorts, we need to make it online. It has to be like a cornerstone of the online experience, and it is. So the whole multiplayer thing is built around the idea that you have your own city, and your friends have their own cities, and like every time you log on into the game, even if you're not like thinking about like playing multiplayer, you're going to see like these time challenges of stuff that you probably have not seen before. So like there's going to be like some selected user generated cities that are like up for anybody to try and tackle and compete in at the same time. Plus you'll see like all the new cities that your friends have made, or on the other hand like what your rivals have made.
So, will you allow players to have all of this from the get-go, all the blocks, everything, or do you unlock stuff as you play the main game, or how does it work?
You do unlock stuff. So we actually considered like opening up the whole shebang from the start, but that could also get like a little bit too much. So we tried to limit it so that you don't have like too many options in the beginning. But like very quickly as you start to play, like you don't have to play long to like unlock more blocks, and so there's going to be like the whole kit for you to play around with roughly at the same time when you've seen them in the game.
And would there be an option of maybe adding even more blocks down the line as DLC, or is that kind of hard, or in terms of like the size of these blocks?
Well, the system has certainly been created with that in mind. We can't confirm that yet, but we'd love to do some extra blocks later on.
That would be nice. All right, so I think we've reached the end of the road here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.